Cowboys. Jerry's got to put his ego to the side and say, this is the guy. Let me tell you why. Culture, he'll immediately turn that around. That's Bill Belichick's thing. Defense, there's so many good pieces on this defense that Bill Belichick could play around with because he's got Micah Parsons, will be his LT. He's got Demarion Overshawn, who's a superstar in the making. He's got cornerbacks. How many teams have cornerbacks? A team that needs a coach has two, basically elite cornerbacks if they get back healthy next year. He's got DeMarcus Lawrence, so he can do a lot with that defense. Remember when the Patriots used to draft defensive linemen every year? Guess who does that now? The Dallas Cowboys. He's got first-round linemen. He's going to fix that offensive line, bring in his old buddy Dalton Skarnecki or some offensive line coach. And also, what's the last one I have? I have one more reason that he's going to. Oh, he's got a draft pick. He's got a high draft pick here. They're probably going to be top 8 because Cooper Rush isn't going to win any games. I have a perfect pick for him. Mason Graham, Michigan, defensive tackle. He's going to fix the run game. He's great against the run. Even when the Patriots were bad, he was great against the run. So all these reasons to me make Jerry Jones has got to go against his trend of hiring sort of mid-level names and go for Bill Belichick.
Okay, that's the case for Belichick. Now give me the other case.
So Deion Sanders is not in anybody's odds to go there. He's started to float around. Do not discount this idea because apparently he is also really close friends with the Jones family. Obviously played in Dallas. I think you can make a great football argument for Deion here. And now I know that sounds weird because he's never coached in the NFL, but he's another guy like Belichick culture. He went into Colorado, immediately cut the entire team. We laughed at it at the time. I criticized it, and it turned out it was probably a good idea. What team is ripe for cutting everyone and starting over?
Oh, my goodness.
He's got to go in there.
Transfer portal.
He's got to go in there with that kind of attitude and say what happened was not acceptable. So I think Deion has a little proof of concept that he can turn around a culture immediately. He took a 1-11 Colorado team. Believe me, I've been slow to praise him. Won 4 games and now is up to 7. Culture, he knows the standard in Dallas. He was there in the 90s. He understands what it means to be a winning Cowboys team. He can get Travis Hunter in the draft. He doesn't need Shedeur because he's already got Dak. But he could get Travis Hunter. If Travis Hunter's anywhere near the Cowboys, he's going to put out the word, do not draft this guy. He's not signing. He's coming with me. And finally, he'll share the spotlight. I know that sounds crazy, but he lets his other coaches do all the coaching. He doesn't even recruit. He's never gone to a high school in his life. He is definitely a huge delegator. He has to be because he's doing so many things. So I think he would easily say, Jerry, Steven, you can pick the players. I will be here. Give me Travis. I think he would be a really good fit there, and it's a weird fit. I think it'd be the best fit for Deion to go to Dallas because who else can handle all this hype except Mr. Hype himself, Deion Sanders?
Do you believe that?
That was a lot of words.
Wow. I mean, you laid out some really good cases there, and I'm going to be honest. I thought you made the more compelling, realistic case for Deion.
Yeah,
there is something about the Belichick wanting the keys. And, to be honest, I think Belichick and the culture, yes, he definitely did a lot of that. I think you needed the right quarterback, too. And maybe Dak would also be that right guy, but you're getting him so late in his career.
He's 31 years old.
It feels late.
It does feel
feels late.
Well, actually, I think we could discuss this later in the show. If Belichick has a choice between Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, or Caleb Williams, your instinct, I think, would go with the younger guy, but I'm not sure those guys have proven anything.
No,
so maybe at least Dak has been a Pro Bowler.
No, I get it. I don't see Jerry and Bill being able to do this. Jerry and Deion, I do, because they have this shared history together of winning. And I think that, to be honest, I wonder if Jerry might trust Deion a little bit more even than Bill, just because he knows him. Yeah,
it would be an against-the-grain hire for Jerry. But there are, football-wise, so many compelling reasons.
It's interesting. 855-212-4227. All right, Perloff laid it out there. Who's the better coach for the Cowboys, Bill Belichick or Deion Sanders?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Dolphins go on the road, get a win against the Rams last night. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. But that's not really one of the biggest stories in sports today, Pearl. We've got teams that are just imploding in front of our eyes. And obviously the Dallas Cowboys are generally going to be at the top of that list because of all the drama they invite. But they have some company. It's the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bears have lost 3 games in a row. Ever since the Hail Mary against the Commanders, it feels like things have just been going from bad to worse. Now, Matt Eberflus is being forced to answer some very pointed questions about his future in Chicago, and he has vowed that changes are going to be coming. Now, he's still evaluating everything. The one change that will not be made is Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, is still going to remain the quarterback. No kidding. Like, who do you think has more power right now, Caleb or you, Matt? Coach, pardon me.
God, I don't even know who's the backup.
It's Tyson Bagent.
Oh, I love Tyson Bagent.
Well, he's going to have to keep sitting there with his dad, who's the arm wrestling champion.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is that the Bears' offense is unwatchable, and they're just anemic. They're coming off of a game against the New England Patriots where they scored 3 points and had a total of 142 net yards. Yeah, that's bad. Now, the other part of the Bears, though, and the other part of the story is that their offensive line is completely banged up. Both tackles missing in this game. Another offensive lineman was a late scratch, and another offensive lineman got hurt during the game. So you're talking about 4 out of the 5 possible offensive lineman spots that are banged up. Of course, Caleb Williams is going to be under fire. Now, he took 9 sacks in this game. He's taken tons of sacks over the last 3 games, and they're going to make some kind of change. But to be frank, I'm not sure that's really going to do what they think it's going to do. I don't think things are going to change that much.
Okay, so what do?
Well, I think Matt Eberflus is going to be out of here at the end of the season.
That definite. The question is, like, how do we save Caleb Williams from becoming like I always think of the number 1 pick who went to the exact wrong spot and ruined his career was David Carr. Went to the expansion Houston Texans, got sacked a record time, kind of like Caleb Williams is now, and never recovered his career. That's the worst case scenario for Chicago because there's so much hope around this guy. Obviously, like, you look back and say, oh, we should have hired Cliff Kingsbury. Feels like, I trust me, they would take Cliff Kingsbury now, right?
Well, Cliff Kingsbury had a relationship with Caleb going back to USC, right?
Yeah.
His final year at USC, Cliff Kingsbury was a consultant or whatever on their staff. But, to be honest, I don't think Cliff Kingsbury was really getting head coaching nibbles last year.
No, he wasn't. But I'd say, like, next year he will. And next year, like, the Bears are going to look hard at Cliff Kingsbury. I think Cliff gets a job next year. Look at the Commanders. I mean, even against the Steelers, who are a great defense, they move the ball. It's not like their offense has any problems. And yes, you shaking your head like they need a guy whose only job is to fix Caleb Williams. Like, they better not hire. They're not going to even don't even interview a defensive coach. Bring in offensive minds. Ben Johnson's not going to do it. He wants nothing to do with that mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you don't think Cliff would be the right hire there? I think that would be a no-brainer.
Well, we saw Cliff with a quarterback that he knew in Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be this great thing that happened in Arizona.
He's 2-time Pro Bowler.
But what happened? The team couldn't win.
Well, there was a lot that happened. Eventually, injuries just decimated them.
That's true, but they kept having these second-half swoons, and it looked really good in the first half of the season, and then the second half of the season, it would fall apart.
Well, Chicago would take that now. Actually, no, they're having a second-half swoon. I don't know. Like, what kind of coach would you want?
Well, I agree with you about the offensive-minded, right? Because here's the one thing you obviously want to avoid so much with Caleb Williams is you don't want to have him have 4 offensive coordinators in his first 3 years or something like that, right? Like, you got to keep a bit of continuity here because you mentioned David Carr is the worst example of what can happen to a quarterback. I look at the wasted beginning of Alex Smith's career, where he had 5 different offensive coordinators in 5 years. Now, he eventually got himself on track with, in Kansas City and had some success. But like that part of it, the revolving door also kills you. I just think Shane Waldron was a bad hire, and Matt Eberflus, they should have not stayed with him and should have brought in a new coach with Caleb Williams here.
That doesn't help now, though. That's a sunk cost.
You've already kind of put him behind the 8 ball is what I'm saying, because let's say you've got Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator. We'll see if he's even calling the plays after this week. So now you're going to have a second person in Caleb's ear 9 games into his rookie career, 10 games, whatever it is. And now next year you're going to have a new person.
Well, definitely. I mean, you're having a new person next year. So what you're saying is you got to get the right person so he doesn't cycle. But you got to get the right person anyway.
I get it. But I think they should have, as they woulda, coulda, shoulda, known that this was probably not going to work. And by the way, Shane Waldron had a fine offense in Seattle, but it wasn't really blowing the doors off of anybody. And Matt Eberflus, before that, they hired who? Luke Getsy? And he just got fired with the Raiders. So I question some of the hires. Can I also throw another wrinkle at you about this Bears coaching situation? Caleb has got to be the number one priority, right? Making sure that he's got everything he needs. He's the key to the franchise. But can I tell you something that I read in The Athletic?
Yep.
So here's from Mike Sando, who does a column on Mondays in The Athletic where he is very well-sourced NFL reporter, and he kind of goes around the league. Here's what he wrote. Executives around the league think the Bears' structure with an empowered, engaged team president, who's Kevin Warren, who was the former commissioner of the Big Ten, all but rules out the possibility Chicago would seek established power coaches. So think about this. So what he's saying, the president of the team, the president, not the GM, that's Ryan Poles. He's a different guy. The president of the team is so involved in the day-to-day operation of the football team. Obviously, he's the president, but is so involved on the football side of things, not just the business side of things, that it would preclude a power coach like a Belichick or someone like that from taking the job because they don't want someone who's going to compete or have opinions or be a pain to the president. If that doesn't destroy all the rest of the faith you may have had left in the Bears, it's stuff like that that I think really hurts an organization. So you're telling me you're taking candidates off the list already just because of an ego battle with the president of the team whose job really is to make money for the team, not to run the football.
I hear you, but let's talk in reality. Like, you're not hiring Bill Belichick there. That'd be the last hire. Like, you got to fix Caleb Williams, not have the guy who drafted Mac Jones and was last in number 32 in offense. You got to bring in, that's why you're bringing in a fancy little offensive guy, a little Corvette, a little Cliff Kingsbury, a little Ben Johnson, maybe, and I hate to say this, maybe Lincoln Riley steps up to the big time. That's what you're going to do.
Well, Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams didn't win a lot of games together. They did the first year, not the second year. But here's the question. So here's the other thing he goes on to say. It appears, or executives think that because the team president has so much power and influence that they wouldn't hire a big-name coach. However, a big-name coach like a Vrabel or like a Bill Belichick or someone like that would actually probably be better at maybe handling some of the ancillary things in Chicago. If you heard the media and some of the pointed questions they were asking of Eberflus, and Eberflus is not great on the mic, by the way, but someone who could handle the pressure and the expectations of the fan base, of the media. You know, Chicago, people are nice there, but when things start going bad with the football team, the nails come out, the talons.
Yeah, I think the only focus is winning. That's, of course, an effect of winning or losing is a relationship with the media. You can't hire Vrabel there. I mean, even if Vrabel wants to come there, like you cannot put Caleb Williams with a defense guy. I mean, Vrabel's offense were so boring. Please, just for my sake as a fan of football, do not put Vrabel. I mean, if you even talk to Bill Belichick, you're out of mind. Bring in somebody fancy and fast and like some Sean McVay acolyte.
Okay. You have no idea how the Bobby Slowicks and Ben Johnsons, we have no idea what these guys are like.
Yeah, I know, but we know that Mike Vrabel is not going to have any kind of high-octane offense. We know that Bill Belichick is going to run the ball on first and second down. Listen, we already know that that's boring. You have to bring an offensive-minded coach. That's not even a conversation.
I get it, but there might just be a reality of Chicago that you're waiting for this high-octane offense. It may never look exactly like that.
But you drafted Caleb Williams. You have to make it look like that. And
is there not a way to, get it, be able to get the most out of his skill set? The fact that you got DJ Moore there, the fact that you've got Rome Odunze there, and, not expect it to look like a team that plays inside? You literally play in the Windy City. Yeah. What are we doing? At some point,
Aaron Rodgers was
reality.
Aaron Rodgers was at Lambeau and won multiple MVPs. You can have a high octane offense outdoors in this. For one, you definitely need an offensive coach. Mike Vrabel is never going to have the top quarterback in the league because he is just Mr. Hard-Nosed, run the ball.
Can I give you somebody who this is going to be wildly unpopular, and I get that, but if you're talking about developing a young quarterback, is it not Mike McCarthy?
Oh, geez, Louise. Well, you said the guy who's not in power, like that'll fit with your Kevin Warren model.
Thank you.
But no, I definitely do not want Mike McCarthy.
He can develop a young quarterback. You just said about Aaron Rodgers. Mike McCarthy was with him.
Yeah, he could develop him in 2006, not in 2024.
Well, he never was developing Dak. Dak was already like in year 7 by the time he got there.
So where's your
year
model?
6.
He developed Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Isn't Caleb Williams kind of doing a little bit of Aaron Rodgers? The throwing on the run, the scrambling. He's not a dual threat quarterback, but he is a athletic quarterback.
No, I think the model really is going to be Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. Like you're gonna hire a young offensive coordinator, kind of like Tennessee's trying to do with Brian Callahan. Like you're gonna hire somebody like that, maybe Liam Cohen from the Bucs. It's going to be a smart offensive mind, and I honestly, this is going to sound so stupid. I don't even know if winning's a priority. Making Caleb Williams good is the number one priority of this.
Right, so
like that guy's got to be good.
And so you're going to go to an unproven guy who's never been a head coach.
100%.
I don't love that formula.
Do you see Sean McVay? I mean, this is the trend of the league. Are you going to go proven guys who cannot play offense? Like Vrabel and Belichick are not going to have. They're not going to maximize Caleb Williams. Maybe Belichick because he had that 1 year with Tom Brady, but even that, like that just doesn't fit. Like they need everybody in that building needs to make sure Caleb Williams is good. And right now they're not doing that. Eberflus was the wrong guy for this. You said it. By the way, I'll give you full credit. You didn't like the split coach GM thing, but Eberflus is a very defensive coach, and you can just say I think it permeates the building.
855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on the Bears and what's the best for Caleb Williams moving forward. Again, changes are coming. We're not sure what Eberflus said. Caleb Williams remains the starter, but is he going to take away play calling duties from the offensive coordinator? We don't know. Is it going to matter? Who knows? Dan is in South Bend. Good morning, Dan.
Hey, good morning, Maggie. Perloff, how are you? I was thinking it's a little different. Belichick to the Saints. He's got an owner there that will listen to him. He's got Derek Carr. He's established. He's decent. He's kind of like Brady, same size, just about, same mannerism. Doesn't really scramble a lot.
Kind of like a Brady. Derek
That's
Carr?
the nicest thing anyone's ever said about Derek Carr.
I'm just saying, like the body structure and maybe his arm strength and stuff. I mean, but I think Belichick could turn the Saints around and not as much pressure. And the owners there aren't going to try to take charge or tell him what to do.
Well,
They're going to listen to him.
But their roster's all messed up because of the salary cap situation. Like they got old and they're I do like playing indoors and I do like playing in the NFC South, but that's about it because they're not going to be able to really rebuild this roster because they've been famously kicking their salary cap situation down the road. Now they're pretty old.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it needs some work, but all these jobs need some kind of work somewhere. There's give and take in each one of them.
Yeah, they wouldn't be open otherwise. You're absolutely right.
I mean, listen, definitely not the worst idea. Appreciate you weighing in. That's very funny. We should clip this and send it to Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Remember, Tom Brady called him that mother effer when they
stay with that mother effer over me.
Wait, was that confirmed that it was Carr? Because there was also some thoughts it was Trubisky or Jimmy G or
Brian
somebody.
Fitzpatrick swears it's him, but I think there's enough evidence, especially now that Brady's with the Raider organization, that he was talking about Carr. So he went from that mother effer to he's just like Tom Brady.
A little less accurate. Just a hair.
Yeah, but I guess like compared to he's closer to Tom Brady than I am, for example. But that's about it.
I guess he's closer to Tom Brady than is like Lamar Jackson. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, pocket quarterback.
Yeah. That's very funny, though. And I'm sure Derek would love it if he heard
earlier
that.
we compared Perloff to Verlander. I think that was a closer comparison than Brady to...
Kate Upton was choosing between Perloff and Kate Upton.
Yeah.
Tough choice she had to make. Sean is in Oregon. Okay, Sean, Perloff made the case for both Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders to be the next head coaches of the Cowboys. Who would you like more?
I think Jerry likes new, shiny things. And Belichick's an old name. And Deion, he's a new guy, kind of turns the needle a little bit. And Belichick, that guy, he has a culture of scandals. He never changed the culture in Cleveland. He didn't change the culture with the New York Jets. I think he was riding on the coattails of Bill Parcells. And that culture was already pretty settled there in New England. And I just don't know. I just think Deion's your guy there. And That's pretty much what the case I wanted to call in and let you know about that.
Yeah, Sean, it's fair. Like Belichick has this sort of, contradictions, right? Yeah, it's a great culture, but Spygate, Aaron Hernandez in a much more serious way. A lot of things also happen under his watch that were pretty unsavory. Yet I think we're just talking about the football part. The rank and file guys, you just don't get a lot of BS necessarily.
Yeah, I mean,
like the Cowboys.
You know how I feel about it. It's not a mistake that the two dynasties of our generation would draft low character guys because they saw value. I mean, the Chiefs have Tyreek Hill in the 5th round, and Patriots took Aaron Hernandez in the 4th round. So don't tell me about character because this is about Super Bowls. I generally nobody's going to care if look at the 90s Cowboys. They were out of control. I mean, how many interactions did they have with the law? And they won 3 Super Bowls. That was the high point of that Jerry Jones estate. He does not care about that kind of thing. And honestly, winning, this is a culture, a football culture that only cares about winning. Sadly, we forgive everything.
Yeah, I like Sean's point about Jerry liking shiny things. Now,
That's
Mike
not true,
McCarthy
though.
was not shiny and new.
Dave Campo was not. Chan Gailey was not. Jason Garrett was not. He hires people who will not outshine him.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson actually was, shiny. He wasn't new. He was established as a college coach, but...
Well, yeah, but Jerry wasn't Jerry. Yeah.
That's true.
That was his first... I mean, Jerry, by the way, I love the story of he had to fire Tom Landry in Dallas. This guy's got a set on him.
Yeah, no, I get it. The Deion thing, I thought you made a more compelling case for Deion than for Bill Belichick to be the next head coach of the Cowboys. Do we have to put one small thing, though, and keep it in mind? How Deion has repeatedly said he does not want to coach in the NFL.
Yeah. I was about to say.
Does that play into this at all?
I saw we could ask Andy Staples come out. There's a rumor that Deion is landing the top quarterback at Colorado down the road, too. Maybe he's actually into this thing. Maybe we should take him at his word.
855-212-4227. All right, would be the better Cowboys coach? Bill Belichick, Deion Sanders? You can weigh in. Andy Staples, college football insider, joins us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right. That's a spicy little jam there. Manny picking the songs today. All right. Back on Maggie and Perloff. I believe we have to jump right to Andrew Bogish.
He's got headlines for us on this fine Tuesday. What's going on in the world, dude?
You guys not going to let Dave Matthews play? You want to talk over Shake Me Like a Monkey?
Oh, that's right. Dave Matthews? Sorry.
Yeah. Spicy little nugget. What'd you call it?
I don't know.
Wait, hold on. I saved something for you, Bogish.
I thought he only had 2 songs, Crash and the other song that sounds like
this
Crash.
This is number 3. This is new music to you.
I saw this. Dave Matthews Band coming to New York Sunday, November 24th.
Yeah, I'm already going.
Yeah.
I'm going Saturday and I'm going Sunday. Look out.
Please seek help.
Well, Sunday night, you're going to make fun of me, Manny, but Sunday night's a fundraiser for hurricane relief efforts. So it's Dave Matthews, it's Nathaniel Rateliff, who I know Perloff loves.
My favorite.
Warren Haynes, Goose, Trey from Fish. It's a big night. Everybody should be going.
Jeez, is it hurricane relief and secondhand weed smoke? Look at that crew.
Headlines.
That is a heavy smoking group of bands, if you don't mind me saying. Spicy little jam there.
Whatever drugs they didn't take at Maggie's afternoon rave will be taken at the Garden that night.
I tell him I know a guy.
Your headlines are sponsored by PXG Golf. Staying long and straight on the golf course is easier than ever with PXG Clubs. Take your game to a whole new level. Save $10 per club at pxg.com/football. Use code football.
I like a tight ass.
There was a point last night in L.A. where it seemed like neither the Rams nor the Dolphins wanted to win Monday Night Football.
Rams coming after Tua with 4. He's got a pocket. Now he's hit. Jared first knocked it loose. It's on the deck at the 35. A strip sack.
The Rams got it.
And first has it. V8 doing it all.
That was the end of 3 straight turnovers from the two teams, 4 total giveaways in the opening half. Both teams held onto the ball the rest of the way, but the Rams never put said ball into the end zone. Sean McVay's team a sloppy 23-15 home loss.
There was some, execution that has to be better, and I want to be able to go back and look at the tape, but these are things that we have to be able to clean up if we want to be the type of team, and especially from an offensive perspective, we've got to be able to play better and consistently execute better with 11 as one.
This was just the fourth time in McVay's 8 seasons the Rams failed to score a touchdown. Their 3-game win streak is over. They're 4-6 overall. The Dolphins snap a 3-game slump with the defense leading the way. They sacked Matthew Stafford 4 times, held LA to 3-12 on third down in addition to those 2 takeaways. Former Rams and USC head coach John Robinson passed away yesterday at 89. Robinson is a college football Hall of Famer and was the Rams' all-time winningest coach until McVay. The Cleveland Cavaliers stayed perfect, 119-113 in Chicago last night. They are the first team since the 2015 Warriors to start 12-0. That Golden State team set the all-time mark for best start. They won their first 24 games that season. Victor Wembanyama, 34 points on 6 threes plus 14 rebounds. The Spurs dumped the Kings 116-96. And the Pelicans lost their 5th in a row, 107-105 at home to the Nets. College hoops, number 2 Alabama fought off McNeese 72-64. Mark Sears, 15 points, 5 assists. Number 24 Rutgers had to rally late to beat St. Peter's 75-65. The Peacocks were up 5 at the half and 65-64 with about 4 minutes to play. Hockey Hall of Fame inductions were last night in Toronto. Not sure if Jeremy Roenick mentioned the fantasy hockey show we once co-hosted together on Sirius, but he did talk about being the number 1 overall pick by Chicago.
I'm convinced the deciding factor of their pick came the night before the draft in a restaurant bathroom. Standing next to Mike Keenan at a urinal, he oddly asked me, "You have any balls, kid?" Feeling a bit uncomfortable because of the current situation, I said, "Enough to play for you." Thank goodness he didn't look over the divider.
Pearl, you'll be shocked to hear that Maggie wanted to make sure we got the bathroom story in the show today.
Yeah, no doubt.
I told Perloff, I go, Jeremy Roenick said this unbelievable thing at his Hall of Fame. It's a little off color, but he landed the plane on it, and the whole room laughed.
No, it's really funny.
It's a great story.
But if you're going to ask me which coach, like, of course it was Mike Keenan. He's coached every team and every player. Every single Hall of Fame inductee ever has played for Mike Keenan. Are there other coaches? What's that guy? Hancock, right? It's either him or Keenan. Coach every team. Yeah.
Wait, hold on, Bogish. When you were hosting a fantasy hockey show with Jeremy Roenick, I mean, were you? If he didn't mention you, would you be a little hurt?
I mean, it was like 2010. It's a long time ago. My guess is he has. Is there less than zero memory? Is that a possible thing? It is gone from his existence.
He took some headshots over the years. Probably. There's a picture where I punched Jeremy Roenick in the face at Dan Patrick's show. You guys ever seen that?
No, but he was like a staple at the DP show.
I hit him in the face, and he has a steel plate there. Yeah. So I hurt my hand a lot more than I hurt him. He said, "Hit me in the face." I'm like, "I'm not hitting you in the face." He said, "Hit me in the face." He's like, "I'm going to hit you if you don't hit me in the face." So I hit him and walked away injured.
In the early days of the network, he was shooting beer cans in our newsroom. Like he was here with a beer company, and they're like squashing cans and shooting them with a stick.
Wait a minute. So he couldn't even feel when you punched him in the face?
No. Also, too, I mean, he said
that was more Perloff than steel plate.
That was exactly. It was a combo platter. No, it wasn't even just a steel plate. Like he's used to taking shots from gigantic NHL goons. Like I could not make an impact on that man. You know what I'm talking about, Bogus. You could punch him as hard as you wanted. He wouldn't even notice. We're like mosquitoes to him.
I talked to him for an entire NHL season and he didn't notice.
Yeah.
He's just
Must have been a fun podcast.
Yeah, he's like nerds. Like, oh, wait a minute. I'm also on this podcast. Whoops. That was a very entertaining story. And I'm not surprised that he had a good quip comeback to Mike Keenan standing at a urinal. I got enough balls to play for you.
Nah. It reminds me of the classic cinema scene where Frank Drebin and Police Squad. I know no scene makes Maggie laugh more than when Drebin is mic'd up and in the movie Naked Gun and goes into the bathroom and forgets that his mic is on.
I cry every time.
Pretty much everybody in the TV industry, but not like that one. Maggie, is there any scene that makes you laugh more?
No.
He's like whistling and singing to himself.
Maybe when they get into the car chase and he ends up driving into a fireworks factory. Nothing to see here. That's also one of my favorite scenes. But yeah. All right. So thank you, Andrew Bogish, with all the important stories, including the Jeremy Roenick Hall of Fame induction. Congrats, JR. Okay. Andy Staples, college football analyst and reporter and everything for On3 is going to join us in just a couple minutes. So we get new college football playoff rankings tonight, Perloff.
Yeah, I already got an issue, and I haven't even seen them yet.
They're not out.
I know, and I'm already mad. Okay, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to say there's a little program down south and finally deserves some respect. Why is Alabama number 9 and Penn State is number 4 in the AP ranking? And I'm sure it'll be like that. Like, who on earth has Penn State beat? What have they done to earn?
Washington last week.
Yeah, I just think that I think strength of schedule is being underrated in these rankings so far.
Well, the one thing that's hurting Penn State is USC now feels like they are. That win, to go to USC and win, felt like a really big thing at the time. But since then, USC has benched their quarterback, and it's just not as big of a deal.
It did not feel like that big of a thing.
Well,
I mean, maybe because it's on the road, but I mean, USC had already lost some big games before that. No, I mean, I just think that Alabama, and I keep the 2 losses were on the road in the SEC. We're seeing the SEC is cannibalizing itself in these rankings, and the fact that the bottom half of this 12-team ranking is going to be favored in the playoffs over the top half says there's something off here.
I'm curious tonight when the new college football playoff rankings come out, not so much about Alabama, although that is very interesting because they obviously smoked LSU on Saturday. But how far is Georgia going to fall after losing to Ole Miss on the road is number 1. And then, EJ, for your Miami Hurricanes, how far do they fall after getting upset by Georgia Tech?
Too far. What is it? How did they fall to number? That's another team. How did they fall to number 12? Like, I'm sorry, like, what have they not done that Penn State has done?
It seems like there's a lot of disrespect for the ACC, which is understandable, and maybe there's inflated respect for the Big Ten because they have so many top-ranked teams, even though Penn State has really played none of them except for Ohio State, who they lost to.
Yeah, I mean, if, say, Miami or Georgia ends up at number 12 and they play Indiana, if Indiana falls behind Oregon, like, what's the spread on that game? It's probably 14 points. I'm being serious.
Yeah.
No, for Georgia, not Miami.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I know, but, like...
So that doesn't say something's wrong? Like... The 5 seed is a 2-touchdown underdog to the 12 seed? Then what's the point of these seeds?
Well, I don't know, because aren't they factoring in strength of schedule and aren't they factoring in all these things?
They say they are, but they never, ever do. They're not factoring in anything. They have no logic.
Okay, well, that's why I was like, let's just keep it at 4 because if we have enough problems with 4, I know that was a very unpopular take. People got really mad at me about that. But if it's still all about brand and blah, 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 then, and they're not, and you think it's willy-nilly, you know?
Well, that being said, we still got to see BYU and Boise State. This is awesome. I'm not saying I'm just like to complain about the way they're ordered. Don't take this away from me. Just because it's not perfect doesn't mean it's not awesome. I can't wait to see who's the guy they put on TV, Ward Manuel, tonight.
Oh,
who
gosh,
tries
this
to
poor
talk.
Dude.
Yeah, he tries to explain things that are unexplainable. I think the 12 team is working out great because you do have really good teams up and down the 12 teams. You're going to have some really great first round games.
It's going to be fun. Okay, so we're waiting on Andy. We'll get to him in just a moment. We were also talking about the Bears situation, going back to the NFL for a second. By the way, you can weigh in on college football, even the AP rankings, which, to Perloff's point, do look a little sus, as the kids would say.
Well, yeah, they've been consistent. I mean, they're not terrible, but
no, the
again,
Penn State thing doesn't make sense.
Strength of schedule is hard to figure out.
Yeah, 855.
Notre Dame, we love them. I don't know who they've beaten.
Come on. You think Notre Dame's not going to be getting in here? You're absolutely out of your mind.
And they are playing very well. But still, it's their schedule is not impressive.
It's not, but they're also killing people. Ever since that Northern Illinois loss, they have just been dominant. So I'm okay with that. 855-212-4227. Speaking of the Bears head coaching situation, which is, we think, going to be opening at the end of the season. Adrian's in Maryland has a thought. Hey, Adrian.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I don't like big retreads, but Doug Peterson, I love the way he coaches. He's a quarterback type of coach. If Wentz didn't get hurt, and Wentz is the MVP, if Wentz gets hurt, Peterson still takes him to the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl. I actually think Trevor Lawrence is broken. It's Trevor Lawrence and not Doug Peterson. One other thing I would say about the Bears, they didn't need to take a Zoom, however you say his name, Zune, whatever. They needed to take a lineman. You can see Caleb Williams is running all over the place for his life. They didn't need another receiver. They had DJ Moore. They were already going out there to get a guy from the Chargers, and they had Swift as a running back. So that receiver pick was a bad pick.
I mean, they had drafted linemen before. I think they took one the year before.
But you got the number one. You got the quarterback. You're going number one, and you got the number 9 pick. You got to protect him somehow. He's a young guy, and young quarterbacks don't strive. Even when you look at Jaden Daniels, they have a run game, and that's the reason he's striving. They have the run game. They don't have the run game in Chicago to take the pressure off Caleb Williams.
You're right. I mean, the only thing worse than a rookie quarterback is a rookie left tackle, though. So
Adrian, you want to know who agrees with you 100%? Bill Belichick.
You?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll agree with you also, but no, Bill Belichick agrees. He was on Pat McAfee's show yesterday and said, Pat said something like, aren't all teams trying to be tough or, something like that? And Belichick goes, no, the Bears aren't because they're not building through their lines. He's like, the fact you take Caleb and then you would take a Dunze, whereas the Chargers, even though they already had a quarterback with Herbert, they decided to go offensive line before they went with a skill position player.
And like you said, Maggie, the Bears, they built the team like they're playing indoors. Yeah. Once it gets cold in Chicago and it's windy, you can forget about it. They're not going to fling the ball all around the field. So, like I said, I would have took the left tackle, right tackle, whatever, Perloff, anything on the line to help them protect the quarterback. And also, I don't think you can go get a really young coach because Caleb Williams, I think he's more privileged. He thinks it's his way or kind of no way. So I really think Peterson would be a great fit there.
Interesting. Adrian, Doug Peterson feels like his stock is pretty low right now, but appreciate the thought. The Bears are a mess, man. There's not an easy situation, an easy answer, and we're going to dive into it a little bit more. We'll take a quick break. Andy Staples is going to join us next. What's going on at Florida is a big concern. The college football playoff second rankings come out tonight, and Andy will attempt to answer Perloff's question of why is Penn State ranked so high. Get to all that next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Perloff. AP rankings are out, but we get college football playoff rankings tonight. This will be the second installment of the CFP rankings. And for that and so much more, we turn to our friend Andy Staples, who covers college football for On3 Sports. We love it. Andy, thanks for doing this. How are you?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
We're doing fantastic. People may not know this about you, but they probably do if they're familiar with your work, that you are a Florida grad. You have described yourself as a human tackling dummy during the Steve Spurrier era, and we know you're proud of that. So describe to us, why did Florida feel it necessary to give this big vote of confidence to Billy Napier, and then a couple days later they got smoked by Texas? Do you think they're regretting putting that that gung-ho letter out of support right before that game?
No, they knew that was going to happen. They knew they were starting the guy who started the season as QB3. Actually, I think he started the season as QB4 against Texas. They knew DJ Lagway wasn't going to play, and they knew they were going to get smoked by Texas. But the situation hasn't changed. The athletic director is pretty embattled. His best chance to survive long-term is Billy Napier succeeds long-term. I don't think they felt like they were going to get somebody who was going to excite the fan base. If you're going to pay a $26 million buyout and then guarantee some other coach $100 million, it better be somebody who excites them. And I don't know that they were going to get that person. You know, everybody wanted Lane Kiffin. I don't think they were going to get Lane Kiffin. So they went with this, and their hope is they're going to pour a bunch of money into the transfer portal and try to do what Lane Kiffin did at Ole Miss last year. I don't know if that's going to work. I mean, Billy Napier's 15-19 in 2+ seasons as a coach. So he's kind of told you what he is, but that's where they're at. And they better show some life these next few games. Now, it looks like DJ Lagway, who's their freshman quarterback, who is very, very good. It looks like he may play against LSU this week. that could be very different. And you could have a really different conversation on the other side of that if Florida were to win that game, because y'all saw Alabama LSU last week. The LSU fans somewhat turning on Brian Kelly a little bit. And if they lose another game, that's not going to be pretty either.
Andy, is it possible Florida is like Nebraska when I was a kid was dominant and Oklahoma was dominant, and just some programs have these eras and they just don't come back for a long time? Are we looking at a possible long drought for Florida?
Well, I think, it's interesting because people our age, I don't think understand the history of Florida football. It was really good when you and I were teenagers and became and stayed good through our 20s. Well, Florida was never good before that. Florida they started football in 1906. They didn't win their first SEC title till 1984. That one got stripped because of a scandal. They didn't win their first official SEC title till 1991. So they've been playing football for 85 years before they won an official SEC title. So it's not like the anomaly was the period between 1990 and 2008 when Florida won 3 national titles, not the other part of it. The rest of the time has been normal Florida.
But Andy, they invented Gatorade. Andy Staples joining us from On3 Sports. Not to make this
shout out Dr. Robert Cade.
Not to make this just a totally Florida segment here, but obviously with Todd Gold, the basketball program, I mentioned that you're a Florida grad and you played football there, but you're also a journalist. And I'm assuming you wrote for the student paper when you were there as well. So the student newspaper is reporting on some improprieties. So Todd Golden, he's being accused of sexual harassment, sending photos, very explicit ones, to students, stalking, other things. Yet he's coaching. That student newspaper well. Are you surprised that he's not like on administrative leave or something like that?
Well, I'm also working on that story too.
Got it.
So there's not a lot I'm ready to just report yet. Otherwise, I've already written it. But let me just say, it is a very complicated story. And I think there will be more. It will be somewhat messy, but there's more to it. And so we just got to keep digging and figure out exactly what's going on. And when there's enough to report, I think it hopefully will clear some stuff up. But I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of messy.
Yeah.
Andy,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, obviously, tell us whatever you feel comfortable. Is it trending in a way that's positive for the coach or not?
I'm not ready to say anything yet because I'm not exactly sure. I think that it says something that Florida said you can keep coaching, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Got it.
Talking to Andy Staples, the outstanding website On3, which is my favorite. The AP rankings. Let's just say that the rankings tonight are similar.
College football playoff rankings.
College football rankings, right? Alabama beat LSU. They beat Georgia. Mm-hmm. They're going to be 5 spots behind Penn State. I'm sorry, am I missing something? Who did Penn State?
They're not going to be 5 spots behind Penn State, Perloff.
Wait, isn't Penn State going to be 5 or 6 and Alabama's going to be 9 or 10? Or I'm just going on.
I think they're going to be closer together than that.
Oh, okay. Because I'm worried about
I think the committee may veer from the AP voters on this a little bit.
I don't think that the AP is putting enough merit into strength of schedule because Penn State and Indiana and Notre Dame have not beaten a lot of teams.
Right, but it's interesting because Penn State and Indiana actually have pretty different strength of schedule as well. Like Penn State's is significantly higher because they've played Ohio State. Indiana's got a little bump when they played Michigan, but Michigan hadn't been that good. Indiana's will get a huge bump when they play Ohio State. But yeah, if you want to play the who have you beat game, Indiana, Penn State, the other team that needs to worry in the who have you beat game is Texas. Like they're okay right now because they've only got 1 loss. But if they were to lose to Texas A&M, they're in for some very uncomfortable who have you beaten conversations too. Because what is Texas's best win? It's probably Vanderbilt. And what is Penn State's best win? Is it it's Washington, USC? I mean, there's not a great one. Indiana, same thing. What's their best win? And when you compare it to, like Oregon's best win, very easy. It's Ohio State. That's a super easy one to do. Georgia's best win is Texas. Alabama's best wins are Georgia and LSU. Ole Miss's best win is Georgia. Like that makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, we're going to play the who have you beat game, and it's not going to go well. Because, like, I'll give you an example. That Texas thing I was talking about. Let's say they did lose to Texas A&M. All of a sudden, you're comparing Texas and Notre Dame. And if Notre Dame finishes 11-1, well, Notre Dame also has a win at Kyle Field.
Right.
And if Texas doesn't have a win at Kyle Field, despite having an opportunity to get a win at Kyle Field, that's not going to look good for Texas. So that game is going to get played. And like, people have asked me a lot, could an 11-1 Indiana get left out? I don't think so, unless they just get smoked by Ohio State. And I think based on what we've seen so far, I don't think that's going to happen.
Andy Staples with us on 3 Sports. We only have about 2 minutes left here, Andy, but how far do you think Miami is going to drop in the college football playoff ranking after they were upset by Georgia Tech?
I think it's going to be a ways, because they're another one of, okay, who'd you beat?
Right.
And there's not really a great win. Now, Louisville's probably the best win. But Notre Dame's beaten Louisville. SMU's beaten Louisville. So they're going to be above them because of that, because of that. And SMU's got a loss too, but it's to BYU, which is currently undefeated. So yeah, the loss to Georgia Tech is going to hurt Miami quite a bit. And I think it probably turns the ACC into a one-bid league. There was a scenario, if Miami went to the ACC championship game at 12-0 and then lost to SMU, then you could probably get them both in. I don't think it's going to go like that now. I think it's going to be the winner goes in and the losers, go into some other bowl.
Andy, do you believe, and you know what I mean by that, do you think Colorado has a chance to run the table and get into the playoff?
Yes, they are playing better than anybody in the Big 12 right now. Like, BYU's been living dangerously, and I actually picked Kansas to beat BYU this weekend. Colorado is playing really well. Now, look, we saw Utah play BYU really tough, and that's who Colorado is playing this weekend. But I think Colorado, since the loss to Nebraska, has basically gotten better every week. The offensive line play has gotten better. The defensive line was good from the get-go, but I think that's gotten even better too. And when you add that defensive line play to Travis Hunter and Shiloh Sanders on the back end, they're really tough to score on, and they can score pretty much at will. So what you're seeing are these scores that, 34-7 against Arizona, or Texas Tech, they won comfortably. Like, they went down 13-0 and then won comfortably. All these other Big 12 teams are just playing these 3-point games. Colorado's not, and I think that probably helps them.
Andy,
do you believe that?
Really quick. So obviously Travis Hunter is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman right now. But after Jalen Milroe and what he did to LSU, do you think he's firmly back? I think he's 6th in the odds right now. But if another good couple games, quarterback from Alabama getting the Heisman, it's not that hard to see.
It's not. But if Travis Hunter keeps doing what he's doing, I think he's going to win it.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen anything like this for decades. If you're not 70 years old, you didn't see players playing both ways like this. And even then, you didn't see them playing at that level on both sides of the ball every play. But Milroe, yes, I would think he'd get himself in the conversation. Dylan Gabriel will be in the conversation. If Cam Ward bounces back these last few games, he'll be in the conversation. But it's Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter, to me, are the two that we're talking about.
Andy, you're the best for doing this. Andy Staples, you can read him on 3 Sports. Appreciate the time as always, man. Good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Andy Staples, the best.
Everyone knows, like, we were coming into the season, we said the Heisman field is going to be a cornerback, wide receiver, and a running back out of Boise State, of course, because that's how it works these days.
Yeah, no.
You called Hunter, which is great. But, listen, we're team Ashton Jeanty as well.
Glad I put my $5 on Travis Hunter before the season started.
What's that going to get you?
Nice little
a nest egg for your son?
Pretty penny. Maybe breakfast for the crew.
All right.
Maybe. No fresh squeezed orange juice, though.
Yeah, that's true.
We're answering more of your college football questions next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Drama, drama, drama. Who are we talking about? Well, who else? It's the Dallas Cowboys, because you can't talk about football with the Cowboys. That's a disaster right now. Welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Did I even introduce us? Let's get right into it, because not only do you have the star linebacker having to clean up a mess because of a quote he gave about the head coach. You know, already behind the eight ball a little bit here. So that's Micah Parsons and Mike McCarthy, who had to clear the air in a meeting yesterday because Parsons in the postgame on Sunday basically was trying to show support or maybe even some remorse for, I feel bad for, guys on the team who this could be their last year and clearly we're not delivering. Now, the question was about Mike McCarthy's future. So when Micah Parsons says, well, we've got guys on the team that have done more and worked harder than Mike McCarthy ever has, people are going to interpret that as a shot at the coach. But no. Micah Parsons on his podcast yesterday, and I know we have a little of this, saying, I was not saying anything bad about Mike McCarthy. That's not me. That's the media. That's y'all. You are manipulating my words about Mike McCarthy.
We all have to see through the BS of what these TV analysts are trying to do and, provide us and basically take words. I never once threw or even intended to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. Like I said, he's one of the most winningest coach. He is a Super Bowl champ. I never once brung up his past.
Okay, well, you might not have intended to, I guess, but that was a byproduct of saying it the way that Micah Parsons said it, which is, a guy like Zach Martin, he's talking about the offensive lineman, has put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. And so you may have meant it one way, but that's not how people took it.
Yep.
And so now the coach had to come out and say, we talked, we communicated, we got through it, all of that. And of course, Micah Parsons not taking accountability for it, saying, you guys are twisting my words.
I lean on the side of giving him the benefit of the doubt, because if you put together the entire context of what Micah Parsons said, like his tone certainly didn't sound like he was insulting McCarthy. We know he has a good relationship with McCarthy. It did not feel, I heard that quote. I'm like, he's clearly not trying to rip McCarthy. He was trying to do something else. But ESPN ran with it as if he had said Mike McCarthy and his family are terrible. I swear, I think Micah Parsons is right. I felt like the reactionary takes I saw of the talking heads at ESPN were over the top, because you kind of knew Micah Parsons did not mean to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus there. At least that's what I thought. I'm like, he didn't really mean to say that. And I mean, I'm not being naive here. I don't think Micah Parsons went into that press conference saying I'm going to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. I think he was just spitballing.
Okay.
You
it's always a good time to be,
Micah Parsons
workshopping ideas.
Parsons had no reason to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus there. That would not be something he was his first game back. He did not want to do that.
Okay, well, I've been summarizing the quote. We should play the quote for the audience, and you guys can decide. So this was Micah Parsons' post-game on Sunday, and he was asked about Mike McCarthy's future.
That's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But, all coaching aside, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys, I kind of feel bad for guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year on their way out, because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
I think if he had just not said the line, who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did, you are making a comparison there. You're basically saying that the players are working harder than the coaching staff, or players like Zach Martin, who's a 10-year vet or whatever, 8-year vet, that he's putting in more work than Mike McCarthy ever did.
Yeah. Do you think he meant to say that?
You know what, Perloff? He is not a rookie. He's got a podcast. We mentioned before he's the president of Bleacher Report Gridiron. He's an aspiring media mogul is what I'm getting at here. So I get what he's saying about wanting to win for your teammates. I think that's totally genuine. But you already have a coach who's embattled, and Micah Parsons is not naive to understand that. So anything but full support of your coach could get interpreted as no support for your coach.
You're right. I guess so. First of all, Mike McCarthy's an offensive coach. What does Micah Parsons care about him one way or the other?
He called the defensive coach Mike Zimmerman, and his name's Mike Zimmer, but that could have just been a slip of the tongue.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't think his intent. I don't think he came into that press conference, maybe subconsciously wanted to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. I just didn't get that vibe from that quote. And I understand, you could tell he was genuinely surprised he became the A block in ESPN shows. And there were guys calling him out how dare you say Mike McCarthy hasn't worked or something I don't think Parsons wanted any of that when he said that. And I understand, I do think that players really believe that the media takes little bits here and there and blows them up into segments. I don't think we do it too sometimes. We're not particularly guilty, but you see it on ESPN as grasping for anything Cowboys, and I do think they blow things out of proportion.
Okay. Well, it's funny, though, because sometimes I'll listen to Micah Parsons' podcast, and there's times when he'll just sort of go through the news of the week, and I feel like he does similar types of things.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's a little
he does.
pot calling the kettle, you know?
He sounds like an Eagles fan on his podcast. He's like, man, that was another great pick by us. He's talking about Philly. I love it. I want Micah Parsons in green so bad. Yes, he's very loose-lipped. He says so many things. I think we say this like it's a catch-22 because we want athletes to talk. We want them to talk a lot, but then we parse everything they say, and then they get sensitive to it. That's a reality. I mean,
hold on,
you have to admit that's true.
Okay, that can happen, but I think we're also trying in this instance. You have an embattled situation where a team feels to be in free fall and the coach is embattled.
Yep.
So what are we trying to get as people on the outside? What's the vibe in the locker room?
Right.
How embattled and just like how much are they people pointing fingers at the coach? Because let's not also forget, and maybe you have to be a little bit like, this is not for the casual football fan. You have to be a little bit more in depth here. But do you remember how it ended with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay? It was our pal Ty Dunn who had this like really in-depth article about Mike McCarthy that he was not going to meetings because he was getting like massages in his office and he seemed checked out. And so this would be another instance. If you're saying Zach Martin has done more and worked harder than Mike McCarthy ever has, I'm like, ooh, is this a little bit shades of Green Bay where there were accusations that he wasn't giving it all? And now I don't know anything about Mike McCarthy when it comes to work ethic, so we're looking for anything.
I'm not sure Micah Parsons was thinking that deeply about the topic. I really don't believe
Well,
he
you're
was.
wondering why people grabbed onto it.
I totally understand why people grabbed onto it, but again, I understand why he's frustrated because I don't think, just based on tone, I don't think he meant to throw his coach under the bus. In fact, I know he didn't. I do not think for 1 second that he expected this reaction or meant to imply this reaction. Maybe does think that about McCarthy, but again, I don't think Mike McCarthy's embattled. I think he's done. I don't think there's any question. You know, basically the way Micah Parsons worded that, it's like it's over. We know it's over. There's a new era that's starting. Like there's no debate anymore, right? Did you sense that like even he's acknowledging like McCarthy's going to be gone. He said he can go wherever he wants. Zach Martin's going to retire. Like it's done. The party's over in Dallas, right?
Well,
I mean, there's no discussion anymore about Mike McCarthy.
Well, again, see, that's I feel like a leap that I wouldn't take, and Micah Parsons would be upset about that. He didn't really say that. He said Mike McCarthy can go wherever he wants. Like he'll continue to work.
Right.
Zach Martin can't play football anymore because he's hurt, right?
But I mean, he could have said Mike McCarthy's our guy and he's our coach. But like I don't think there's any real heated debate about whether Mike McCarthy should be the coach next year anymore. Don't you feel
we're
like
all surprised he was back this year.
Yeah, that discussion has ended.
So, okay, you're willing to give Micah Parsons a bit of a pass. I think he should really own up to this. I think it was just a poor choice of words that maybe was a bit of a Freudian slip.
Did you see the ESPN takes he was talking about, though? Damian Woody sounded like he had basically physically grabbed Mike McCarthy and taken him out and thrown him into a bus.
Well,
like,
I mean, people have their
think,
opinions. And also,
I felt like there was an ESPN producer go behind him saying, go, get him. And I think that's what Micah Parsons was reacting to. And when he's a Philadelphia Eagle, I will not stand for any of this.
I know. This is Perloff like trying to stay on Micah Parsons.
By the way, Micah Parsons, there were plays on Sunday. Like, that guy did not give up on that game. I was like, what is that speeding bullet on the other side of this blowout game?
Yeah, I think you're being generous here to Parsons, and you might be right, but at the same time, like, I think that him being called to the mat on this is not the media's fault. He can explain what he meant. And by the way, he had to have a talk with his coach, too. So the coach didn't just take his word like, oh, no, that's just Micah being Micah. They had to clear the air. So
wait, I did not see that. Mike McCarthy and Micah Parsons had a meeting?
They did. And Mike McCarthy, they had to address it on Monday because it's a thing. And everything in Dallas becomes a thing. And I don't want it always to be the media's fault, because the media didn't make Micah Parsons say something that was tough to interpret. And everyone knows how to do athlete speak, and he didn't do it. So that's that.
But there is a reality. If the Tennessee Titans star linebacker said something about their coach, it would not be the A, B, and D block of an ESPN get up this morning. There is definitely there's a thing going on here. Like, to say that it's not because of Dallas. I mean, to say that this isn't overhyped would be crazy. Like, of course it's overhyped. It's the Cowboys by definition.
Okay, so where we wanted this segment to go was Perloff actually has 2 candidates for the Dallas Cowboys.
Right, to calm the hype down.
Right.
Let's bring these guys in.
But I'm sorry, we actually have to put that on hold for 1 second. I'm being told in my ear that we have some breaking news.
Ooh. Wait, give me the sport. Let's guess.
I already know what it is.
Well, let me guess.
Go ahead.
What sport?
The NFL.
Well, how was I supposed to know?
No, EJ told me in my ear.
Dak Prescott IR?
No, I think we probably guessed that.
Aaron Rodgers injured?
Nope.
Okay. It's a firing. Doug Peterson fired.
Nope.
Matt Eberflus fired.
Closer. Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator for the Bears, has just been fired, according to Adam Schefter.
That's barely news.
This is definitely news.
That's not news.
It's breaking glass. It's breaking news. Stone cold.
Well,
yes. Shane Waldron is now out. And why this is a big deal is because Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick in the draft and someone who is touted as a generational talent, this is now his first offensive coordinator who's shown the door on the cusp of week 11. I'm telling you guys, I know that offense was not good and they made a bad hire with Waldron, but this is the anatomy of how a quarterback can get ruined.
Well, yeah, but
you just keep making changes and changes and changes and changes. They never get their footing. I mean,
well, no, I totally disagree with that. They have to fire Shane Waldron. This is the very good thing to not fire Shane Waldron would be a terrible mistake. You're saying like just keep a bad guy in there to avoid change?
No, I think what I would have done here, I don't know who's going to call the plays now. They haven't said who's going to call plays. It's obviously going to be the same playbook, but move them to the side, move them to the back, tone it down a little bit so it doesn't feel like the coach is also doing this, like, I've got to cover my butt, which he's embattled, Matt Eberflus, so he's got to make a change. You
would have kept Waldron? I don't understand.
Their offensive line is a sieve right now because of injuries. Their offense has been bad. I totally understand that, but I think that you made this point yesterday. I think it's a good one, which is what was off here? Was it actually a rookie quarterback season and the ups and downs that takes, or was it our expectations? Because this looks more like just run-of-the-mill rookie quarterbacks. Some games are great, some games are terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what happens a lot when you have a number 1, 2, or 3 pick, you have a losing team, and at some point you got to start with a new coaching staff. So I kind of disagree with. There's no way Eberflus and Waldron are going to be back next year. So what's the difference if they fire him now? There's no continuity is nice, but in this, I don't think it applies here.
Well, it's going to be the same offense, right? It's just going to be a different play caller.
Yeah, so
it's just a different person in his ear.
Right. So why have Waldron hang around? Like they said on Monday, right? They were going to switch play callers essentially.
Yeah.
So there's the guy, most likely replacement is Thomas Brown, who I actually remember called plays in Carolina. He's their passing game coordinator now. But again, like
what year of Carolina?
It was Bryce Young.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, but he's actually was really well thought of before that Bryce Young disaster. Like I think he might have gotten in head coaching interviews.
He did.
Regardless, there's going to be a whole new regime next year anyway. So what's the difference, right? There's no way Eberflus is coming back. There's no way Shane Waldron was coming back. And I think our debate was the key one. What kind of coach are you bringing in? Are you going to bring in a tough guy like Vrabel, or are you going to try desperately to fix your offense and bring in an offensive coordinator?
Man,
I think there's only one answer. If you hire a defensive coach in Chicago, I'm selling my Bears season tickets. You got to build this offense. I don't care how windy it is there, Maggie.
Yeah.
You need an offensive guru. You need Cliff Kingsbury. You need Liam Cohen. You need somebody who can call plays on offense. And I do not want to see any kind of defensive mind anywhere near that building.
Yeah, I don't want to put my now he'll be a second-year quarterback, my generational quarterback, in the hands of a complete unknown.
Why?
I do not want to do that.
Why? The unknowns are way better than the retreads. You're going to put him in a retread? We're going to bring Jeff Fisher back? What are you doing here? Why would you want
Mike Vrabel, Pearl?
That is as retread as a tread he gets. Like, what did he win?
He was at least has a number 1 seed in the AFC. At least he has. And look at where the Titans are now.
Yeah, I just think that I'd much rather go with a guy. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury has been a head coach, by the way, but I would definitely
to no distinction.
This is a league where the 37-year-old offensive coordinator turns things around, not the 57-year-old retread. It's just you need offensive minds. And Caleb especially needs a great play caller. He needs I know their line is hurt, but he's got to have somebody young in there who's going to give him some layups because he's got none right now.
That could be Matt Nagy all over again. And you don't know. You don't know when you don't have it, when the person has no clue, and the pressure of Caleb and his development, not him, the guy, but just his stature as the number 1 overall pick. Your development is all on him, but yet you've never done this before. You've never been in the top seat. I get worried about stuff like that.
Yeah, but at some point you got to give guys. Look at some of the good young. You wouldn't take D'Amico Ryans there. You wouldn't take a young Sean McVay or a young Zach Taylor.
Well, you're just naming the guys who worked out.
Matt LaFleur. I'm looking at Kevin O'Connell's pretty good.
I know,
Dan
but
Campbell.
How about the guys who are? First of all, I'm not willing to call Cliff Kingsbury a success. That was not a successful stint in Arizona.
He made the playoffs in Arizona.
And what happened? They couldn't get over the 30-yard line.
He made the playoffs in Arizona. That is not the worst failure I've ever seen.
Okay, well, then what happened?
But it's a league of young offensive play callers. That's the trend. You can't ignore it. It's the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan effect.
Yeah, but that trends to me, that doesn't mean you're going to end up hiring the right guy. Because for every young up-and-comer guy, there's going to be one who has failed. You think every one of these Brian Callahan, Mike McDonald's, Dave Canales, these guys, not all of these guys are going to work out.
Yeah, everyone except Canales. By the way, there's the winningest young coach wasn't even an offensive coordinator. His name is Nick Sirianni. What about that guy in Philadelphia? Again, that worked. Got to the Super Bowl. I'm telling you.
Robert Saleh. How'd that go?
Defensive coordinator. Don't give me defense. Especially here in Chicago. Everything in that building is to make.
How did Matt Nagy go?
Matt Nagy was coach of the year.
But what does it mean?
Didn't he get Trubisky to the playoffs?
Then why was he fired?
Because it doesn't always work out because the franchise is, as you outlined earlier, is a bit broken.
Yeah.
Matt Nagy took Mitch Trubisky to the playoffs. He honestly should be fit for a gold jacket. He was
and they couldn't get him out of town quick enough.
By the way, Nagy's back in the hiring cycle. I saw the Cowboys odds. Nagy is being discussed. That would be a classic Jerry Jones hire.
Yeah, something tells me he's going to stick around for the end of Andy Reid. 855-212-4227. All right, that's the news this morning, is the Bears have fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. And now the Caleb Williams, his future just gets a little murkier.
No, it doesn't. Did we know they're moving on?
Brighter, however you want to say
It's got to get better. This is good. No, I wouldn't worry if I was a Bears fan. Are you worried for them?
Yes.
You had to move on because they fired Shane Waldron. This offense was so broken.
No, I'm worried because this is what bad teams do. You know, they don't anticipate that they needed to make the change before Caleb got into the building.
No, I'm going to quote a friend of mine, Maggie Gray, who before the season says, I do not like what the Bears are doing, bringing Matt Eberflus back.
Thank you.
You're right. But the mistake was already made. So now you can't compound it by letting Eberflus and Waldron hang out.
All right. You guys get to weigh in next. 855-212-4227. Bears fire their OC.
All right, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Because health is a long game and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Boyd in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5 minute break. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We're just breaking down the Bears fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. They announced on Monday they were having him step down as play caller, so I'm not sure what he does. What exactly do you do around here? Kind of like did the Jets do that with Hackett where they moved him down and he sort of hangs around now?
He's in the tippity-toppest part of the press box and the coaching box, like back left. But yeah, he's still on the team.
So the Bears, obviously a bit of a mess. Their offense is terrible. We'll see what they do next. Right now, Defensive Player of the Week, sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the armed forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. I swear, it was one of those weekends I took a note. I was saying, I'll bet you EJ is watching this game and he's going to name this player Defensive Player of the Week.
Who was it?
I didn't write it down.
What?
I totally lost it. I actually was thinking about it. He always goes with he often goes with people who beat up the Jets, and I know Budda Baker was flying around against the Jets. So I think Budda Baker's in play. I think the Bucs, like everybody, could not block Nick Bosa. Nobody can block Nick Bosa. I'm not sure exactly, But it might be someone. Miami's defense was fire last night. I'm not sure exactly who he'd pick, so I think it's a Dolphins defender. You have a guess?
I think it could be Chop Robinson from last night, who had a nice game, but it was really Calais Campbell and that guy Seiler. Seiler was J.J. Watt, like in his prime last night. So it could be him. I'm also wondering if EJ is trying to subtly, not so subtly, needle Manny and Bogish by making it whoever knocked the ball out of Tyrone Tracy's hand in overtime. Giants lose to the Panthers in Munich.
The idea of needling does sound intriguing.
How about the Broncos, the Chiefs, who blocked the Broncos field goal?
That's not defense. That's special teams.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump off the bat and say this is a very outside-the-box pick, but the numbers don't lie. And what happened yesterday was borderline historic. It was actually yesterday.
There's your clue yesterday.
That means some NBA game.
Or was it the Miami Dolphins?
Okay. So today's defensive player of the week is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
I thought he had a career high. I listened to Bogus's update.
Points. This is great. He had 45.
How can he be defensive player of the week?
I'm going to the defense because guess what? He had 5 steals and 2 blocks in their win over the Clippers. And get this, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was the tallest player in the Oklahoma City Thunder lineup last night because they are without Chet Holmgren and they are without Isaiah Hartenstein, who's been out for the whole season.
Who?
So the Thunder went out there with essentially a 6-7 lineup and lower against an NBA team and won thanks to Shea Gilgeous, not just his offense, but his defense. So Shea Gilgeous, tallest guy on the court, still had 5 steals and 2 blocks. He's the defensive player of the week.
I believe that was called the death lineup for many, many years.
Yes.
With Golden State, where Draymond was the tallest guy on the court at 6'7".
Yeah, point guard here was the tallest guy in the lineup, and they still won.
By the way, did you see James Harden's defense on Shea last night? Probably contributed a little to that 40. What do you have, 45?
Shocker. 45.
Yeah, Harden that's something else. Perloff mentioned it. We'll get to Bogish in just one second. The Bears have fired their offensive coordinator. And so now where do they look? How does the rest of the season look, number one? And then obviously, what do they do in the offseason? Because Caleb Williams' development hangs in the balance. John is in Boise. John, what do you think?
First off, I got to say go Pack go before I start the call. But I just thought it was funny when Caleb Williams was drafted, the first week he came to the Bears facilities, he told their punter that he wasn't going to have to punt much this year.
I know. I saw a stat that the guys actually punted for more yards than Caleb's thrown for this year. Quite embarrassing.
Yeah, they've also, that offense has gone 23 consecutive possessions without scoring a touchdown.
And that's just great news as a Packers fan. I can't wait for Sunday. You guys have a great day.
John, glad your day got a little brighter. People in Chicago, their days got a little grimmer.
You know, I totally disagree with one thing. Most people have said, I think you said it too, that the Hail Mary is what buried the Bears. If you watch that Commanders game, and the Commanders are by no means the steel curtain or the doomsday defense, they made Caleb Williams look so bad for 3.5 quarters. I think he had -4 yards in the third quarter. This offense has been deeply broken. They happened to face the Panthers one week, and Caleb looked amazing. I think that was overseas too, or maybe it wasn't overseas, but it should have been. They beat up on some bad teams. They gave this false hope when the offense has really been broken for a while now.
I just think we are not giving enough credence, and obviously it doesn't matter because the Bears fired their offensive coordinator. They have both of their tackles out. 2 guards a center and a guard are hurt. And he's been sacked 18 times in the last 3 games. But what do you think's going to happen with a rookie quarterback with no offensive line?
But where's the other? I mean, honestly, if you take out that Carolina game, where's the game where you were blown away by him? Where's the game where that offense has looked good?
Oh, I'm not blown away, but they were 4-2 before the 3-game losing streak. So
function of schedule. They beat
whatever.
They beat Tennessee because Will Levis handed them a game. They beat the beat-up Rams, who had nobody. They beat Carolina, and they beat whatever's going on in Jacksonville. Honestly, that was fool's gold.
You were keeping, the season afloat. And, I mean, you play who's on your schedule. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think people can underestimate. You beat up Carolina and look good against them. People start to talk ooh, this guy's figured it out. And, of course not. He's a rookie quarterback. We started talking about him in the same sentence as Jaden Daniel, who's 2 years older and way more developed.
Listen, it gets tough here for the Bears. You just heard John in Boise call in, who's a Packer fan. They're all licking their chops, although do we know how hurt Jordan Love is in this game? But anyway, they're licking their chops. Then you have the Vikings. Then you're at the Lions. Then at the 49ers, at the Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, Packers. Woof. I don't know if anyone is going to make a difference calling plays because I just don't know if this team is good enough right now. And yet Jalen Johnson yesterday, who's like a Pro Bowler, who said that the team is not giving enough, the effort's not consistent across the board.
They just lost 19-3 at home to New England.
Oh, I get it.
They're not beating
143
anybody.
net yards.
Like that schedule is ridiculous. That's very tough, but it wouldn't matter. Who you get to schedule except for maybe Carolina and the Giants that you're going to beat. I mean, how does New England, Chicago, one thing, they've been good at home. Like, they didn't even not show up at all for this game.
So that's the news today. Bears fire their OC. Andrew Bogish has everything else going on today.
Guys, and it's all sponsored by PXG Golf. Staying long and straight on the golf course is easier than ever with PXG Clubs. Take your game to a whole new level. Save $10 per club at pxg.com/football and use code football. So, yes, just a disaster. Just to quickly recap, the Bears reportedly firing offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. Thomas Brown expected to get the bump up to replace him, at least for the rest of the season with those Bears. Now, it was not pretty, especially on offense, but the Dolphins needed a win however it came, so they flew home happy from Monday Night Football in L.A., a 23-15 decision over the Rams. Tua Tagovailoa got them to the finish line after 2 first-half giveaways.
Continue to play the game. That's it. Continuing to trust what I see. Mike just called the game how he's seen it. And it's my job to go out there and execute it to the best of my ability.
Tua threw for 1 score. He was at his best on 3rd down last night, 9-12, 137 yards, while the Miami D kept the Rams out of the end zone, sacked Matthew Stafford 4 times to stop the Rams' 3-game winning streak. Miami wakes up 10th in the AFC, a game and a half behind the Broncos for the last wild card spot. And P.S., the Dolphins winning kept Florida, the state, from an offer for the weekend. The Bucs, don't forget, the Bucs, Jaguars, and 9 college teams lost Saturday and Sunday. Let's stay in Florida. As we mentioned already this morning, Florida basketball fans cheered head coach Todd Golden during introductions last night, despite Golden being under school investigation for sexual harassment and cyber stalking. After the 20th-ranked Gators beat Grambling 86-62, Golden asked for patience.
Obviously, in this situation, due process and to continue to support our guys. And I just would hope that they would allow the process to take place and see where it ends up.
So, Maggie, you mentioned this, I think, back in the 7 o'clock hour. It would have been very easy to just not have him coach this game last night. It's with all due respect, it's a home game. It's against Grambling. There would have been no real negative to holding him out of this game because the story is not just accusations. Like there's a cyber paper trail of him messaging women, following them, unfollowing them. So like there's something weird, if not bad, going on here. So why not, even if it's a slap on the wrist and it really means nothing, just keep him off the court last night while this all plays out?
I was a little surprised by that. I was very surprised by that. Administrative leave, he can still get paid, but just like get him off the sideline while this investigation goes on. We talked to Andy Staples from On3 Sports, who's a Florida alum, who's also reporting on this story. Said there's a lot that's still going to come out. He's still doing a lot of reporting. And so I'm curious where this goes because there's 2 things at play here, right? I think people have lost a lot of faith in school administrations doing investigations like in a real way, right? Because they have interests that they're trying to look out for. And then on top of it, it's the student newspaper that first got wind of this. And so maybe people are a bit skeptical because it's student reporters, although Northwestern found out. I mean, guys lost their head coach, Pat Fitzgerald, lost his job. He was a legend at Northwestern because of that hazing scandal that was reported by a student newspaper. I think it's a lot. It's a lot. And so the fact that he's on the sideline and got cheered, maybe the administration knows something. But again, I don't have a lot of faith in college investigations because I've seen them be so wonky in the past.
On a much, 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 much lighter note, the Purdue student section behaved itself last night after being scolded for chanting that football coach Ryan Walters should be fired during their last game. They made their normal noise, but I guess were respectful of the football program as the 13th-ranked men's team outscored Yale 92-84. Braden Smith, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. They have won 21 straight home games. The Cleveland Cavaliers played again last night, so they won again last night.
Ball loose on the floor. Wade Habit gave it to Levert. 2, 1. Buzzer sounds. Cavs win. Cavaliers win 119-113. How about a sweet dozen?
Tim Alcorn on Cavs Radio. This was already the best start in franchise NBA history. The Cavs are now the 8th team ever to start 12-0. The aforementioned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a career-high 45 in the Thunder's 134-128 home win over the Clippers. That was their first game since Chet Holmgren broke his pelvis. And Victor Wembanyama, 34 points and 14 boards. The Spurs took care of the Kings, 116-96. The Vegas Golden Knights lose at home for the first time this season, 5-2 to the Hurricanes, who have now won 9 of 10. And if you're wondering what that smell is, it might be Syracuse football coach Fran Brown. When his team loses, as it did on Saturday to BC, Brown punishes himself and everyone around him in a very interesting way.
When we lose, I ain't even getting a shower till early this morning. I just be mad. I just brush my teeth. But it's like I don't deserve soap. I don't deserve to do all that. I'm just focused on like trying to get back and trying to make sure that our players mentally understand and know that I let them down, that they didn't do it.
The dude said, "I don't deserve soap." He also ended with something that I want on a T-shirt: "Winners get washed." If you're wondering, there is a Mrs. Brown, and she does not let him sleep in their bed when he doesn't shower after they lose.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you're going to go all in, losers don't deserve soap and all of that, then why the toothpaste? Go all in, coach.
But you don't want cavities.
I also don't want whatever could happen.
Gingivitis is real.
No, you don't want.
You got to fight plaque, Maggie. Let's get our priorities in order here.
I mean, how long is he not brushing for? A week? We're talking about a day. It's intellectually dishonest, Coach Brown. No, I'm just kidding.
That's your guy, by the way. Lifelong Syracuse fan over there.
I know me.
You were repping him a lot last week.
It was the closest to my hometown. Closest campus.
Wait, Maggie was repping Syracuse last?
Yeah, remember she was like, "Oh, I went to all the games back in 1998 when Donovan McNabb was still playing."
98. You went to the Carrier Dome to see McNabb?
Yeah, I saw him actually play Michael Vick.
Another edition
Syracuse,
of
Virginia
Perloff not
Tech.
listening to the show.
It was a segment. It got put on social media.
That was a good Q's team. That's the only good Q's team really ever, right?
And this is why I said I was a fan back then. It's been some lean
Don
years.
McPherson, I remember that guy.
Now your coach is not taking showers.
You know what? I still like him, though.
By the way, Syracuse, remember they were like a thing back in early September? We're like, ooh,
Like Kyle McCord.
they might be pretty good. Didn't really happen. Guy's got a set on him. Yeah.
Maggie, speaking of your...
By the way, sorry, do you know I was born in Syracuse, so I'm like the real Syracuse fan here, just so we're all clear about that.
Right.
And Philadelphia Penn State fan, too?
Yeah.
I moved when I was moved when I was 6 months old. I claim orange blood.
All orange
There's
teams.
probably a pill for that.
I claim orange skin.
I got a makeup artist for that.
Yeah.
Got a politician for you.
I'm going to see your Binghamton Bearcats in person tonight. Should I say hello to somebody? Should we mention you in a graphic of Binghamtonian legends? How does that work?
Well, I am in the Greater Binghamton Sports Hall of Fame.
Right.
So if you'd like you can borrow my plaque. Not the kind of Coach Brown.
Right.
The kind you hang on the wall. I don't really know anyone. I don't really know anyone associated with the basketball program right now, but I did give a speech at Binghamton University back in the spring.
SUNY Binghamton we talked about?
Yeah, it's called SUNY Binghamton University. Is
Oh,
what
I
they
didn't
call
know.
it.
I know it is SUNY Binghamton. Okay.
Yeah.
There's only one player I ever know from there, the guy who got arrested.
That was an international incident.
Yeah, that was
became
bad.
a really bad thing and a big deal. He beat the crap out of somebody at a downtown bar and then fled.
To Russia, right?
I forgot
Or
which
somewhere in
Eastern
the
European
East.
country
Yeah.
it was, and it became literally an international incident.
Right,
So.
that's all I know the program Spicy for. little jam there. Hey, Bogus, would
You could say that.
So who are they playing? Fordham?
Yeah, Fordham and Bingham tonight, 7:00.
What's the spread on that one?
Couldn't tell you.
I'm disappointed, Bogus. Did you do the Fordham game yesterday in terms of the highlight? Them beating Seton Hall?
I did not. No, that felt like too personal. Fordham winning at the buzzer at Seton Hall on Saturday.
That was one of the best highlights of the weekend. You had John Fanta on the call. You had a great call to end the game.
Yeah, that felt like too. This is not my show. This is not my own podcast with Jeremy Roenick or Micah Parsons. that felt like I was really shoehorning that in almost 48 hours later.
Hey, Bogus, I saw a clip. It was Chris Mad Dog Russo and Mike Breen
Yep.
calling a Fordham game together.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
Russo,
back in like 1988 or something.
yeah,
right?
so Breen made sense. What was Chris Russo? Was he the color analyst of this job?
He was, and that was a 1990 Fordham Seton Hall game that Fordham won at the buzzer, kind of like they did on Saturday. And that is one of the very first bangs from Mike Breen.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
That should be in a Hall of Fame somewhere.
I got the Breen part. What the heck was Mad Dog doing there?
I don't know. It's 1990. He's peak Mad Dog at Sports Channel. That was like the channel in New York here for sports. So I don't know if they did a lot of games or they just did that one, but they were together for that one.
Wait, did you guys not see the 30 for 30 on
I
Mike
did.
and the Mad Dog?
Yeah.
Do you know how Francesa got famous? He was a college
football
basketball and college
analyst. Oh, yeah,
football
exactly.
analyst. So clearly it was probably some kind of competition between the two of them of who could be better at it.
By the way, seeing that Chris Russo was doing games with Mike Breen is like when I learned that Shaq has a song with Notorious B.I.G. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
True story.
That is
It's like, what's one of my heroes doing there?
Notorious B.I.G. did a song with Shaq?
Yes.
What's it called?
I have no idea, but it is a thing. And Shaq always says they're friends because they recorded a song together.
Shaq is a platinum musical artist.
I knew Francesa.
Rapper.
I had no idea Francesa was on the radio, but I knew he was part of the CBS NCAA tournament coverage.
Yeah.
Didn't have the slightest clue he was on the radio when I was growing up.
Can't Stop the Rain by Shaq and Notorious B.I.G. 1996.
Wow.
1996?
Isn't there another song called Can't Stop the Rain? Oh, Missy Elliott. That's way later.
Yeah.
There's also Who'll Stop the Rain by Creedence
By
Clearwater
CCR,
Revival.
yeah.
Yeah. In 96, where is Shaq? What year in the NBA is that?
Came in
This
like
is-
93,
yeah,
right?
This is like his
Year
fourth
3?
year. This is his first season with the Lakers. No, last season in Orlando. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So he was just mad checked out. he had Hollywood. Hollywood was in those eyes, baby. He was gone. He's making songs with Biggie. He's looking at the Lakers draft, saying they should take
Shazam.
Kobe. He was gone.
I don't know if he ever
Shazam
checked.
or Kazam?
Kazam, yeah.
I don't know if he ever checked back in, EJ, because his entertainment stuff never stopped.
Oh, man. Bogish, thanks so much for that. Coming up, so we do have some news from the world of the NFL and how it impacts Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. Got that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Can't stop it, block it when I drop it. Anytime I go rhyme for rhyme on a topic. They ain't even fit to step in Shaq's arena. I look inside your mind and I see your shook demeanor. In your eyes, why are you surprised?
This is the Shaquille O'Neal Notorious B.I.G. compilation that we didn't know existed until about 6 minutes ago.
That's an interesting collaboration. I wonder how the conversation went. Hey, Biggie.
Well, they both have
Let's
like
do a
really
song.
deep voices.
Yeah, I know.
I forgot what Shaq's big song was. Oh gosh, it's the music video. I can see it now. EJ will look it up while I tell you this. This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states.
I feel like it's probably either What's Up, Doc, or I Know I Got Skills. Both of them were top 40 hits in the U.S.
What's Up, Doc? Thank you.
Is that the most successful rap song by an athlete then? Has anyone else had a top 40 song?
Yeah, I mean, Damian Lillard, I don't think he would have made top 40.
Yeah.
Just funny, looking at the album, because this song by Shaq and Big was 96. It was the title track for the album You Can't Stop the Rain. Also on this album, Jay-Z, Lord Tariq, and Mobb Deep, and Bobby Brown.
Wow. Bobby Brown in 1996 was still not peaking, but closer to the peak.
He also has a Jay-Z Nas track. This is prior to Ether and all that stuff. So
wow.
This is... What would you have to do to be like, I really want to listen to this big track, but I got to go through a whole Shaq album?
Yeah, that's like, would you just sleep with somebody to sleep with Brad Pitt?
Right.
You know, like one of those what ifs for women. 855-212-4227, because there is news today, which is Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator for the Bears, has been fired. So now Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, gets a new voice in his ear, and then we believe at the end of the season, probably the entire coaching staff may be gone, and they'll get someone new in. So Thomas Brown, who is very highly thought of, I know that, his season as the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers, where Frank Reich started the season, Chris Tabor ended the season as the interim head coach.
You made that up.
Nope, I'm reading
Someone
it
named
off.
Chris Tabor was the Panthers coach last year? Isn't that the long snapper for the Niners who got grabbed by Debo?
No, that's Tabor Pepper.
Oh, okay.
I can see how you would make that mistake. So here's the offensive ranks for the Carolina Panthers last year. Now, this was a terrible, terrible season. They were 31st in points scored. They were dead last in yards. They were 27th in the league in first downs. They were 32nd in the league, so dead last in passing yards. They were 30th in the league in passing touchdowns. They were dead last in, they were 30th in scoring percentage of drives ending in an offensive score, and they were 30th in average points scored per drive. They were terrible. So do we think they're going to get better, that this is going to be better for Caleb Williams?
He's a McVay acolyte. He was in the Rams, right? Like who cares what happens to the Panthers? That's more about the Panthers. Like, he was really well thought of. I think that whole staff got hired, and he was on his path to getting hired. Unfortunately, he landed in Carolina on the way. And so and he's 38. Like, you can't judge Carolina, right?
No, but you see some similarities. He had the number 1 overall pick, and now he's got the number 1 overall pick again. I don't know.
I think, I'm looking at his resume. He was assistant head coach to McVay on the bloated staff. Like, that's a high position.
I'm telling you, well, the Bears had Matt Nagy, who's Andy Reid's right-hand guy. They're watching him be with a dynasty right now. It didn't do jack squat for them.
But you cannot judge Brown on Carolina, because Frank Reich's a good coach too, and he was terrible there. Well, I'm telling you, I've seen Frank Reich run an offense. Like, that guy is no schmo, and that is a disastrous team. I mean, it's
okay, but he's on a sinking ship now. So
yeah, no, I mean, but who cares? Like, there's going to be no expectations here. They're a team that's falling to the wayside. Like, he's not going to be part of this. They're going to bring in a whole new staff next year. Like, let's not judge Thomas Brown on A, the Panthers, and B, whatever happens now.
Listen, there's a possibility it goes well. I'm just saying, I think they've now, I don't know, fully wasted is the way to put it, but 1 year of Caleb Williams' development has now just gone down the drain.
But do you agree with the decision to fire Waldron? I do. I saw that game against the Patriots.
Terrible.
Like, the plays were not well designed. Like, they're not giving him easy throws.
They haven't scored a touchdown in 23 consecutive drives. I get it.
Of course they're firing him. I mean, and what would be the point of pushing him to the side and having him hang out?
Well, until the offensive line gets healthier. I just don't know if anything changes.
That is a pipe dream.
Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you, Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan. Andy Staples joined us earlier in the show, the Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers, and our amazing affiliates. We do this for you. Thank you. See you tomorrow.